So they thought they needed some, an experienced hand to guide the young man through these rocky waters. The young man, of course, felt, what do I need this old fart for?
No way.
Anyway, we met a number of times, and finally Eric got comfortable enough with me for us to join up and partner on this thing. And it's interesting because, I mean, we are sort of different generations, and we approach drama in kind of a different way. But as we sort of work together, we found that we really arrive at the same place, even though kind of the methods are a little different of how we get there. And it's.
Can you explain what you mean when you say that coming from different generations, you approach drama in different ways?
Well, I don't know if that's a generational thing, but I'm very
sober.
Drunk. There's that, yeah. This is so boring, but I kind of come in everything from a character standpoint of view. It's all about character to me, and I like to let the plot work itself out, given what the characters are going to do. And what I'm interested in the scenes is how, it drives the plot, but I'm most interested in how the characters react to it. And so the stories I do tend to get a little like this, but the character stuff is probably interesting. Eric really works very, very hard on the stories and gets the plot down, and knows that once his plot is good, the character stuff will come naturally to that. So we sort of go like this when we're in the room together, and we'll arrive at that place which both things are serviced, and I think we're really in sort of one voice now, that we rarely disagree on stuff, and it's. I've worked alone for a long time, so it's kind of really cool to have a partner.
Yeah, and to blow smoke up his ass for a minute, he brings a depth and maturity of character, of just depth to the drama that I could not do. Me alone, like, is boogeyman, and like all of a sudden with him, like, we have a show where you have these characters that are psychologically rich and true, and Bob is behind huge amounts of that. So the show would not succeed at all without him. So.
Come on, give him a kiss.
Let me ask one more question before I open this up. But this is for the writers mostly, which I guess is Eric and John. But Eric, you've been quoted as saying that this show differs from a lot of the other suspense or supernatural shows that you said there, because you don't want to get involved so much in those long, drawn-out stories or the mythology so much as you just, I don't know whether these are accurate quotes, but you want to just focus on scaring people and on the urban folklore and so on, and just scaring people. But I think I speaking for myself and maybe some people out here too, I find the mythology with the kids with their mom and their dad, and one of the really compelling parts of this story. So I'm wondering how you just you start to see, even with the last episode that aired last Tuesday, you're starting to see you guys are coming back to that, and I'm wondering, how do you decide when it's time to sort of veer away from what X-Files used to call the Monster of the Week story and come back to the mythology of the show? So it's really for John and Eric. How do you decide when it's time to do that? Or
John?
Two things. I mean, a lot of painful, hair-pulling discussions and arguments, and when should we and when shouldn't we. But part of it is driven, too, by just the nature of television. You want to save some of your big moments for sweeps. And so you kind of work the season around that. It works actually a very nice 5 or 6 episodes that are non-mythology, and then you can pull the mythology back, and again, due to the nature of television, you want to end the season with something astounding. And also going back to what Bob was saying, the mythology is all about character. It's all about what the boys are going through and family, and so that's where we are going to head when we want to do something spectacular. So
yeah, we have and surprisingly have stuck to it. We have a mythology plan for season 1. We also have, God willing, a pickup. We have mythology plans for season 2 and season 3, but we have this plan of where the story goes on the CW. On the CW.
When do we get to see this?
And so, it was sort of the plan, which is the first about really the first 7 episodes, you wanted to be these self-enclosed stories so you could kind of pick up new viewers, and then you start threading in a little bit more mythology. But I think it's a balance because, I mean, it's my own just, kind of personal taste, which is, I mean, I like I want a satisfying story every week too, and I mean, Lost is an untouchable show. I mean, it's a brilliant and unbelievable show, but I find the endless mystery, my own taste, frustrating. And if you're going to give ongoing mystery, all right, people who believe, and if you're going to give ongoing mystery, at least give like a rollicking, badass story apart from it that can have a beginning, middle, and end, and you can be satisfied, and the good guys can win, and you can have the experience of being told a story, and then thread in the ongoing mystery. So I think it's keeping a lot of different plates spinning, and it shouldn't be any one thing or another.
Do you know where this story ends?
I do actually. Yeah.
Does anyone else on this panel know where the story ends?
Yeah, but if we tell you, we have to kill you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's hard because you never know when you're going to get canceled or if you're going to go, 37 years like Gunsmoke or something.
Oh, God, please.
But, yeah.
The boys are in walk.
Sam? Yeah. Right. They'll finish up the season and then they'll slowly die.
Yeah.
And but yes, we have really a if I could somehow find out what the last season was going to be or a 5-6 year plan. I mean, I sort of know the final battle, as it were, that all shapes up. And but yeah, sort of.
We're gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take some questions from the audience. I'm gonna call on 2 people. First question and second question. Please wait for the mic because this event is being taped, so we need to be able to hear you. Okay, there's one all the way in the back over there, and then there's one in a green shirt right down here. We can start down here with the green shirt and then go to the back question.
Sorry, I had to take out my gum. Hi. Let me just say, I'm originally from Sacramento, so I wanted to know if there's any significance with their dad, John, being in Sacramento twice, or just random, or spoilery, or...
You wrote it, John. Why is he in Sacramento?
I don't want to give it away yet.
So yes, there is.
So there's...
I'm not going to tell you either.
I want to know.
Yeah, why?
After.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Tickets for a Sacramento Kings game.
So the answer is that there is, but you're not going to say what it is.
Exactly.
Okay. And speaking of location, is there any significance to Lawrence, Kansas? That it started in Lawrence, Kansas?
I have to give that in.
I would say, well, if anyone does
in other words, yes.
Yes. There is, and the one thing I'd say is because we tend to be really research-oriented in our show and about American urban legends, and there's a very famous urban legend near Lawrence, Kansas.
That somehow factors.
Yeah, if you guys go home and do Google searches on Lawrence, Kansas, some stuff will come up.
Okay. Do you guys know what it is? Jared and Jensen?
I don't think I've ever told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm deciding when I'm going to tell Kripke what it is. Yeah. Honestly.
Okay. In the back all the way?
Hi, just want to say I'm from Texas too, so. Woo! Anyway, I had a question for everybody. What urban legend or folklore really does scare you guys?
Kim?
Nothing scares me.
That's true.
I direct television.
I believe it.
And so, if you can live through that, nothing scares you. Really.
Good answer.
Yeah, well, it's true. What scares you, John? Late scripts.
You do, yeah. You do, Kim. When you call me and say, where's the damn script? That's frightening.
Any
What about
urban?
you guys?
I've been dealing with them all season, man.
All of them.
What about those bees?
You know,
Yeah, bees, that's what I'm saying.
I'll say something. My daddy used to make me watch a show called Shadow Man or something when I was growing up, and it was about a shadow that lived under this kid's bed, and he was sort of, what's that? And anyways, it was his buddy.
And he's
he
here
wasn't
tonight.
very popular in school, and so the Shadow Man started kind of getting all the bullies for him, and then one day he became another kid's Shadow Man, and got him. Yeah, it's probably not as scary as it
Someone,
Go ahead.
Someone has to give her a straight answer.
Yeah.
Hookman freaked me out when I was a kid. The Killer with the Hook, all the different stories of the Killer with the Hook. Of you know, the Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light? I thought was really cool. And there's the Licked Hand. Have you ever heard the Licked Hand, which is a really cool one? And so like that was always, you know, really sort of freaky for me.
Okay, let's take 2 more questions. We'll get this one down here, and there's one all the way in the back, right next to you. Right. Go ahead.
In the pilot, we know that when Sam wanted to go to college, John told him to get lost. And he's in presumably his 4th year because he's interviewing for law school. But he says that he hasn't talked to Dean in 2 years. Is there an answer to what happened 2 years ago?
You mean is that?
Eric? I have an answer to that. Well, you know, I know you're supposed to, you know, do what Scheiben does, which is kind of go, you'll find out. But fact of the matter was, you know, these things happen so fast and furious, and that it was actually a mistake. We wanted. Sam's character is supposed to be a junior in college and starting the interviewing process for law school, and so hasn't seen him since so he spent his freshman year and his sophomore year away from Dean and hasn't seen Dean. Then this is beginning of junior year. This is fall of junior year. So it's been technically 2 years as he's beginning the process, but because what happened, you know, you guys, you know, you know, online, like sort of putting it all. Because what happened 22 years ago, he was slightly older than a junior should be, so no one sort of bought that he was a junior, and so there was a lot of discussion of these 2 lost years, and I just like, hee, like, just a mistake.
There you go. You want it back there.
Use the word inherently too.
But hold on, let me give the real answer. You'll find out.
Now you're talking.
Okay, in the back.
Are there any stories about the show being too scary, like you do trade-offs with the network, like they say, well, you can have 2 seconds of this, you know, bloody face if you do this or that?
Yeah, we've run into a few times this season, haven't we?
Oh, Nightmare was the first time.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get into really strange discussions of can we not see the decapitated head roll? And then you start arguing about, well, can you do a half a turn? You say, okay, you can do a half a turn, but the blood gush can't be for 2 seconds. It has to be for 1 second. So those are ongoing discussions. But actually, the network's been great. We really pushed the envelope in every sense, and they let us get away with more than I thought they would.
There was also in the when
The gun rig.
Yeah, the gun rig with me. When
Yeah,
when,
the
Dean was
Nightmare.
shot in the head.
The episode Nightmare was the first and only time we've ever had issues with standards and practices. And so everything else, they just were like, give us more. And we were shocked by that. But there's a scene where it's a vision, it doesn't really happen, but where Dean gets his brains blown out in Nightmare. And we actually rigged it, and we thought, like, you know, we rigged it so...
Yeah, the rig was awesome.
Yeah, you rigged it so the shot actually goes into his forehead, and the blood explodes out the back onto the wall. And we were like, haha, this is our lead, and we're just, you know... But, and Network was like, no way.
This giant backpack filled with, like, grapes and corn syrup. And it was this tube just kind of coming right out of the back and from the head on, and I had a little button in my hand, and they just yelled action, and we timed it with the gunshot, and I hit the button and gave a reaction, and the whole wall went splat. You know. By the way, it was an awesome rig, but then they ended up having to cut to just the splat, and then back to me.
Back to him with the hole.